Boys and girls, bonus episode with Michael Chandler, fresh off of his fight at UFC 309 versus Charles Oliveira. Before we jump into this episode, subscribe, rate 5 stars. We need it from everybody. But also, I want to tell you about our partners at Chevy. The Chevy Silverado, you're talking about grit, and there's legendary grit. And there's a reason why we never done tier talk on Chevy on trucks. That's because the Chevy Silverado is the only truck for us. Will Compton has the ZR2. That bad boy's got 8 cameras with 14 different camera angles, helps with towing, anything you want to do when you're driving your Chevy truck. Head over to Chevy.com. You can build your own, or you can check out JD Power 2022 through 2024 awards. Spoiler alert, they got a bunch of them. Big hugs, tiny kisses. Enjoy this episode, and let's get some hearts in the chat for Mike Chandler, a true fucking warrior. Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a bonus episode of Bussin with the Boys. Our boy Michael Chandler is sitting with us right now. Went to absolute war on Saturday night against Charles Oliveira. Obviously, didn't go the way you wanted, but even in a loss, you still win, dude. So let's give a round of applause to the legendary Mike Chandler.
Round of applause to you guys. No place I'd rather be. I touched down in Nashville yesterday. I was like, we got to get on the bus.
Yeah.
Win, lose, or draw. This is where we go.
How are you feeling? How's your body?
Body is jacked. My heart is full. Let's talk about my heart.
Okay, let's start with the heart. Let's start
with the heart. My heart is full. All right, I walked across the threshold yesterday. Happened Ace put me in tears. I'm just happy to be home. It was good. I had a phenomenal training camp. We went to war. We did our thing. Body, the most pain I've ever been in my entire life. Like the most injuries I've ever had in a fight for sure.
Yeah.
Peed blood, inflammation all over. My whole body's swollen. I feel like, my
pissed
legs.
Blood?
Yeah.
Was it like a dense color of blood, or was it like a light pink?
The first one was very light, which was in my drug test. 'Cause New York drug tested me before the fight and then after the fight.
Just in case.
Test positive?
I tested positive for blood.
For being a badass.
For sure.
For savagery.
I tested positive for
got that dog in him.
Going nuts. But yeah, so it had like a light tint, and then the second one was like beet looking juice. It was dark.
God, it hurt?
No.
Really?
I don't. Well,
Like what is
my whole body hurt too. So at that point,
But starting from the pissing blood, what is that? Does that come from like a shot to the
I think it's a little bit of rhabdo, like rhabdomyolysis or whatever they call it. Where
like overworking the muscles?
Yeah, it's like you're overworking the muscles. Your muscles secrete blood, and then your blood, the doctors out there don't fact check me, but it's like, their blood goes into the kidneys / liver, wherever your urine goes, and it gets trace amounts of blood in it, whereas mine wasn't really trace amounts. It was large amounts, but I've had it before many times. Anytime you have a 5-minute fight or a 5-round fight like that, 25 minutes, even if it's an quote unquote easy 25 minutes, you're still hyped. Your body is doing things. You're in fight or flight mode for 25 minutes. Well, really 30 minutes plus the walkout, plus the after, plus the.
Yeah. When do you think that starts to hit the adrenaline rush of like, you're not going to feel pain until probably 24 hours later? Is that the walkout? Is that in the locker room right before you walk out? Is it the first punch?
It's actually in the Octagon. Yeah. It's like once you're in there, because I try to stay pretty present, man. I try to stay pretty present and pretty myself and really just focus on being a human being. And then as soon as the cage door closes and then Bruce is in there, it's kind of one of those deals where it's maybe like a kickoff or like whatever, where it's like, oh man, the game's about to start. And then all of a sudden you're running down the field or the first play, and you're like, oh shoot, we're actually in it now.
Yeah.
And then you start, usually for me, it's like, oh man, okay, here we go. We're actually walking toward each other. Okay. There's the 5, there's the first handshake. We touched each other. The clock's running. We're going. And then you're like, I'm kind of waiting to take that first punch to be like, okay, here we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hopefully it's not a big one. Hopefully it's just like a nice
Just
little.
get the first hit out of the way.
Yeah,
Always the age-old phrase, get that first hit out of the way and you feel a whole lot better.
Then you're
because the
in.
nerves are huge right before, like all the doubts, the insecurities, the wondering, the overconfidence. I think it's all like a flush of emotions all at once.
Start to doubt your overconfidence. Am I too? Like,
why do I feel good? I shouldn't feel this good. And then you start feeling bad all of a sudden. Now
self-talk just goes all over the place.
Yeah, then once you're in it, you're like, okay, now we're in it. Now the body's just doing, your training is taking over your reaction time, your spirit.
So before the fight started, Will and I had a cool, unique perspectives because Will was watching it over, so he was able to hear the commentators. I obviously was there. We'll talk about all of it, but as you were walking out, Will was saying that Rogan's like, I know you're going to see a new Michael Chandler here. I don't think I know. Do you think Oliveira knew you were going to strategically go about this differently if Rogan was so clearly understood the process?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is I knew I was going to, but I also in my interviews I didn't want to talk about it too much. It's like I talked about the whole Chandler 2.0, Chandler 1.0, maybe gave it a little bit of too much information because I honestly wanted Charles Oliveira to feel like he was fighting Michael Chandler from 2021. I wanted him to think he was fighting the guy who fought in my last fight against Poirier in 2022. I wanted him to think that was the guy he was fighting. Therefore, when I switched the game plan up on him a little bit, it would be a different fight and I throw him into a scenario. But I think, yeah, unfortunately the word got out that I was going to fight a little bit differently and I did.
Who's the rat?
I mean, I think it was me.
Joe.
You were your own rat?
I think it was
sounds like Joe was your rat.
Well, that's what I was saying. I was like, but no matter what, I mean, the narrative was you could not hide from the fact that I hadn't fought for 2 years. You had to talk about the Conor situation, had to talk about, the 2-year layoff, the training camp for Conor, fighting at 170, different mindset, and then going down to 155. And I was just speaking more open. I'm just more of an open guy. I want my story to be told. I want to wear my heart on my sleeve. If I cry, I cry. If I get mad, I get mad. I just want to be myself and be authentically me. And in that, obviously, I was just talking about my growth as a human being over the last 2 years, which was, hard times, tough times. You guys know the behind the scenes stuff as the boys of like the ups and downs of all of it. But I grew as a human and became a better man and fighter and athlete because of it. And then, just wanted to go out there a little bit more composed and calculated. Also, 25 minutes is a lot different. It's almost like double the amount. It's almost double the amount of time as a 3-round fight.
When's the last time you went a full fight?
25 minutes? Benson Henderson, like 2016 or 2018.
Because every fight I think I've seen since
Bellator,
I've known
yeah.
you.
Yeah, peed blood after that one for sure.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Passed out, actually. I passed out in that fight. My coach, I was unconscious on my feet. My eyes were open, but I was unconscious. My coach had to pick me up after the 4th round, right at the end of the round. Woke up in the corner, finally came to as my coach behind me, Neil, yelled something at me, and I was like, what? And I looked at Henry, I was like, did we lose? Or is it over? He's like, no, we're going into the 5th round. Go. You got to go. And I'm like, okay. And then, we fought. Luckily, I mean, that was just like a pure exhaustion / lack of blood flow to the brain or whatever the hell was going on. But
dude, shout out NF. What a fucking walkout.
Shout out NF.
What a walkout.
Yeah.
It was good.
He made that song specifically for you in this fight?
No. It was a song. I mean, it would be really cool. I would love to actually lie.
You should
I
just
would
say
love
yes.
to lie right now.
I was almost upset hearing the commentating going on because I was wanting to. I could hear the song and I'm like, God,
everybody shut up.
I want to hear all the
this.
lyrics happening right now.
Dude, the lyrics are so sick, and it's a little bit. I mean, the lyrics themselves, which we won't give any of them away because it's not out there yet, but it's very much a. I've always been the type of guy who's like, I'm not here to prove the doubters wrong. I'm here to prove my supporters right. I don't really have a chip on my shoulder. I'm more of a, just like I just want to do my thing and be an athlete who works hard and kind of positivity stuff. And then over the last 2 years, I'm like, F everybody, man. F everybody. I'm a different man and I deserve this. I deserve to freaking absolutely smash this life that we call, our existence. And I love the haters. Love the haters, man.
There's a special place for him.
There's a special place for him. Special place in my heart for him, man.
So when you're walking out right now, you look loose.
Well, I love
you. Look relaxed. You seem like you're
composed.
about it because we're all sitting there being like, as your friend, we're thinking, okay, hasn't fought in 2 years. McGregor's out there 2 weeks before that fight. McGregor breaks the little tiny pinky toe. He's now out. He's dipped out for the first time in his UFC career. What's going to happen to Mike? Now you're in this limbo. Do you wait for Conor still? UFC fighters are talking shit. Haters are talking shit. And then all of a sudden you get Charles Oliveira. Now you went from fighting a 170, now you're going to 155. So there's all these different things that could allow you to stiffen up a little bit. And then you walk out and you seem loose, confident, poised, controlled. Like you just seem like Michael Chandler, like the ultimate confidence.
Yeah, man.
Are you actually feeling that? Or is that like, I got to put this on a little bit, fake it till you make it type of thing? Because it has been a while since I've been.
No,
here.
I was, man. Like that's when you just know you're doing exactly what you were called to do, man. Like it doesn't matter if I was out for 10 years. It doesn't matter if I was injured. It doesn't matter if there's stuff going on behind the scenes. It doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters, man, because you're doing exactly what you were called to do. And this is where you were supposed to be. There's nowhere else in the entire world. I was supposed to be than in Madison Square Garden at that moment, right? You know, and I was built for this thing, and I was bred for it, and it was an awesome. It was a little bit more like, hey, let's take it in because you haven't done this. You know, I did a lot of visualization, closing my eyes when I was in our Octagon inside of our gym down in Florida, and like imagining the crowd and the lights and the feels, and even during the. You know, I hadn't been in a locker room like that warming up for 2 years, needed to go out to MSG. They were like, you can't go out there. I was like, all right, cool. And then I like walked out anyway, and they were like, no, seriously, like, come on. And they were like pulling me out, but I went out to the arena, smelled it. Like, you got to smell it. You got to feel it. You got to hear it because there's 20,000 people there, and they're all talking, and all of their hearts are beating, and there's an energy out there. Mm-hmm. Right. And there's a smell, and there's a feel, and there's a taste, and there's all of these different senses going on. And I hadn't smelt it in 2 years of actually being the guy who was going to be in the arena. And it all just came back, man. And, you know, getting in there and kind of walking around. The first time I had touched the cage to my back in 2 years, the first time I had felt the canvas on my feet in 2 years, the first time I had been in an arena with all of those different emotions going on around me. Right.
How hard is it to not get too high? Like once you do step in the Octagon and you are drinking it all in, it's like, hey, I need to focus on my breathing here.
It is.
Stay low,
it is.
Stay low.
And you got your Trump and Musk. And
Yeah. I mean,
you're back.
JP
you're facing
and Taylor.
them.
Yeah. The
JP
greatest.
and Taylor are there. Yeah, we did get the point.
Yeah, the greatest crowd of witnesses, you know, man. I mean, that's a freaking really, really cool little row up there, cage side. And yeah, I mean, I did have to pull myself back down because that was the biggest thing with me. Obviously, I will touch gloves and go balls to the wall until the wheels fall off and I go out on my shield and my heart explodes or whatever happens. But this fight, I wanted to be more present, and I wanted to breathe, and I wanted to feel my heartbeat. I wanted to control my thoughts. I wanted to actually make decisions in there instead of my body just doing and reacting, you know? Mm-hmm. And I did that. But I needed to come back down because I did get a little bit hyped up as I walked in. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this. I remember this. This is what let's
yeah.
War. And then all of a sudden, you know, the cooler head prevailed where it was like, wait a second, bro. Bring it down, you know, and breathe a little bit and realize that you're about to go into a job and a profession and a contest instead of a war, instead of a battle, you know, going back to the trying to win by 1,000 instead of trying to win by 1, you know, and I just truly thought me trying to win by 1, I was still going to win by 1,000. And
just need to wait on what the moment presenting itself.
Yeah.
When Oliveira's coming out and you're pacing back and forth, so the music changes. Yeah. Like, does that affect you at all when you hear that? I just want to feel all the things you were feeling at that time.
I mean, that's a little disappointing because then you're like, man, I'm enjoying my music and I'm enjoying my moment, and now you're like, oh shoot, okay, and I gotta have a five minutes where it's all about him, and I gotta. You know, but I think that was when I started kind of to get locked in where I was like, oh shoot, now the guy who's about to try to take everything from me is walking into the arena.
Mm-hmm. Not only walking in the arena, but hugs you.
And hugs you, yeah.
Any part you want to slip him?
And I knew. No, I knew that.
Gladiator to stab him in the back.
I saw. Me and Charles are very respectful, man. And
there's no doubt about it. Like both you guys just were the ultimate.
It's a big hug, you know, God bless you type of thing. Like, dude, I'm just happy you're here. I mean, that's one thing too. Like when you talk about, I mean, look at Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman woke up on November 16th thinking he was going to fight, probably to a phone call saying, hey, sorry, Eric Anders is injured, sick, or whatever, pulling out of the fight. I'm just happy you're here because now we both get paid. We both get to fight. We both, like, this thing is actually happening, right. You know? So it's there's part of that where you're just like, man, thank God it's here, because up until that moment, nothing is guaranteed,
right?
You know, until that cage door actually locks, like nothing is actually guaranteed. So then it starts to get a little bit more real. You hear his music is awesome. I don't understand it because it's Brazilian or Portuguese, whatever, but
it's a totally different vibe.
But it's a cool song. Sounds like a worship song or something. I don't know, but it's
I listened to it yesterday.
We subtitle
JP vibe.
Dang, dude.
I'm just in the car.
Closet Oliveira fan over there, dude. You know, but that's kind of the moment where you're like, okay, now it's, you know, it's no longer about my walkout. I'm actually in here. Oh, and that guy's coming out, and you're kind of like, you know, are you making eye contact? Are you looking at him? Are you now you're also still questioning yourself, like, how are you going to play this? You going to like mean mug him? You going to lock eyes and kind of do one of those numbers? You're not going to look at him at all, which sometimes people are like, oh, he does not looking at him at all, which shows lack of confidence. And sometimes it's a high level of confidence to not look at your opponent at all. Like Jose Aldo was a perfect example of that. He would go face to face with the guy and just look down and kind of like look at his feet the whole time, but never make eye contact. Yet he would go out there and absolutely smash somebody. He wasn't afraid of them, so it was it's an interesting vibe, but it was
just a game being played at all times.
Right.
Yeah.
The mental warfare, just like people just playing chess, moving their pieces in certain places.
But it's funny too, right? Because we're all human beings. Like we all must play by the rules of human nature and succumb to just being a human and the thoughts that are going on, the biological things that are happening inside of there. Where's your heart rate and all of these different things. We're a human being, but you get looked at differently because you're an athlete, and then even more different because you're fighting in an octagon with a very little rules, but we're just human beings trying to figure it out. And every single time is different.
You talk about being thankful that he's there. You guys are both there. The fight's going to happen. You're both going to get paid and whatnot. When there rumors of him possibly backing out, or dropping out, was it due to injury?
So I never really got any kind of confirmation other than my manager called me like 2 days after that news rumor kind of broke, and I didn't even think anything of it. I think it was more there was some gamesmanship I think happening, because it's like, hey, this happened to Chandler 3 months ago, 2 weeks before the fight. Let's leak something. And it was Brazilian media, so I don't know if it was his coach saying something or what. But I wasn't worried about it at all. I just kept training, and I knew it wasn't me. So had to be him. But I think it was all just.
And also thinking this better not fucking happen.
Yeah, there had to be a piece of you that's like, you got to be fucking
100%. Because your thoughts go there. You're like, well, shoot, would I take another fight? Who would they match me up against? It's a short notice fight. So then people think, well, shoot, it's an easy fight because the guy's probably coming off the couch, but actually it's not an easy fight because you're like, it's a brand new opponent and that guy's got nothing to lose. Like, I love that idea. Like if Hunter called me and was like, hey, you want to step in and fight this guy in 2 weeks? And I'd be like, hell yeah, dude, I got nothing to lose. What are you going to pay me?
Let it fly.
Yeah, just let it fly.
Let it rip.
And if after a round and a half, my gas tank goes, you don't really lose because you weren't training for the fight.
You have the ultimate insurance policy.
Yeah. It's, you know what it is? It's Nate Diaz versus Connor 1.
Yeah.
Remember that? It was on 11 days notice. Diaz had nothing to lose whatsoever. Connor had everything to lose because he was training for 10 weeks leading up to the fight, and he goes out there and loses. He gasses out, and Diaz doesn't somehow. And he had nothing to lose and went out there and won. Shocked the world.
Yeah.
Dude, round one. So you're coming out with the new Mike 2.0. You get in there and you feel it from like the beginning. The first 10 seconds of the fight, you guys are floating around a little bit. He throws a little leg kick. You kind of move it out of the way, and it already feels in the building like, oh, this is way different than we all expected.
Yeah.
What at what point do you think he fully realized that this is a new Mike he's fighting?
Well, I know we went to the ground at some point in the first round within like the first 2 or 3 minutes.
Canvas the entire time.
So I think that the first couple exchanges, just navigating and actually letting the fight progress instead of forcing myself into the fight, let the fight progress. And if he lands a shot or I land a shot or whatever it is, let's just get in here. Let's move around a little bit rather than going right into the fire. And yeah, things were going well until that first takedown really, and then got on the ground, and then, but then even then, it shows my growth. Instead of trying to force my way out of the position, I was completely okay saying for the first time in my life, I conceded a round. I let him stay on top, and I let him win the round because I had 20 more minutes to fight.
And in your head, are you thinking too, like, don't force anything here. You need your gas tank.
Yeah.
We're preparing for a 5-round fight.
That was exactly what it was. Like I looked over at the clock. I've never seen a clock ever in my 32 fight career. I've never looked at a clock, never wondered what time it was, never heard my coach say 30 seconds, 1 minute, whatever. I've never worried about it because I'm in there fighting. Whereas there, I was not really fighting. I was strategic. It was like, number two, even more importantly, the greatest submission artist in UFC history is on top of you.
Yeah. With
your leg, my left leg freaking up in a knee bar type of position where you're 1 second away from him attacking that and snapping my leg off.
Yeah.
Plus he's on top. And he I went back and watched the fight, and Joe and like the commentators, like those elbows he landed He didn't land one elbow on me whatsoever. They all looked like they landed, but they all glanced off my arm or glanced off like the side of my head. And I remember laying in there, like he threw one. I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. That was good. Because there was freaking like 3 different times, a couple of those elbows were absolute fire balls coming at me with his bony freaking long elbows. And none of them landed. And I was just like, I'm going to sit here. And then pushed him, like as soon as the bell rang, pushed him off me, walked to the stool.
Are there ever times where you feel like you're in trouble when he's got your back? Because you're talking about rewatching it and you're hearing the commentating. They're like, Chandler could be in a lot of trouble here if he can't give him his back. He can't do this. Like, this is a very dangerous spot for Mike to be this early.
Yeah, that is his favorite spot to be in a fight, right? I mean, he finished Poirier, finished Gaethje, finished so many guys. He's got however many 20-something submissions or something like that. Over $1 million in bonuses. The guy's got, right? You guys are probably looking at how many freaking rear naked chokes he has. It's probably half of his submissions are rear naked chokes because he's the perfect body type. If you go back and watch how long his forearms are,
it's crazy.
And they're not big, they're bony and they're skinny, but he's still strong. So he's got really long arms and he's got really long legs. So he's gonna lock that figure 4 up around the body.
Yeah.
And freaking squeeze your guts out, separate your freaking rib over here on the right side.
When that one was happening?
I mean, I think he got it in.
Is that the one where we had you like fully stretched out?
Yeah.
In the corner over there.
Yeah,
because that's when I think DC and Rogan were going back and forth, like, oh, he's been here before.
Yeah,
and then I think somebody corrected the other. So you got to remember that was in the first round of the last fight. Like this is different because Tank's, guys are wearing out a little bit more.
Yeah. It was good. It was good once you start getting sweaty because I do remember that too. Being in that first round, he gets on top of me, and you can feel the guy you're holding on to, and it's like it's sticky. And your sticky is not good when you're fighting Charles Oliveira. 2nd round, 3rd round, 4th round, when the sweat is flowing, everything gets a little bit more slipperier, obviously. And then you're in a better spot, but you're also always in danger against Charles. But I've got good, pretty good defense and keeping the hand control. And
when in those 3 rounds, when you're on the ground, all those times, you always talk about being aware of him and how good he is. Was there ever a point where you're like, oh fuck,
he's almost got me.
Yeah, I think it was
because there's like you talk about hand control, all that. There's just things that I don't understand. Will, you do a little bit because you did wrestling, but like I'm watching you on the ground. I got JP in my ear being like he's doing this well and that well. I'm just thinking to myself, I know he's good on the ground. Were you ever like, if he does this one thing, I am fucked?
It's almost like because one time he like had Mike's face.
It seemed like he did. I was like,
a little bit lower.
No.
Yeah, in the 4th round, I think it was, or 3rd or 4th round. Yeah, he had a full on rear naked choke in there 2 different times, and I was able to pull the arm down, and then I also planted my elbow and did this number. So I had kind of a kickstand going on there where he couldn't get the elbow any shorter. But I definitely had a moment or two where, because when you're about to go out, if you can feel it, where the crowd goes, and it starts to sound like you're in a tunnel type of situation where you're like, okay, I'm not that far away from being choked out right now.
Yeah,
I better if
the crowd understands, I should understand.
Yeah, while your heartbeat's going 1,000 miles an hour and your body's doing all kinds of biological stuff. But I just remember, I wasn't, there was just things weren't going well in there as far as distance and movement and my footing and all that kind of stuff. And then even being on the ground, I was like, I'm not moving well on the ground, but I also don't want to force positions. When I walked into that 5th round, I thought, okay, this is right where I was supposed to be. Thwart off all the attacks, let him do his grappling stuff, let him wear down, and I'm going to finish him in the 5th. I had the plan of being there later in the rounds to finish him in the 4th or 5th, and I knew that's right where I was, wanting to be. But so I was just okay with those positions. Yeah,
because you lose. Go ahead.
You brought up. I mean, obviously, before we get to the 5th, that's the money fight, the money part of the fight. It was unbelievable. But you talked about like you losing your footing. You didn't feel like you were moving around too well. Like what? You took a big oblique kick in the leg, and it seemed like that thing was wobbling like crazy. And then I see you. I think it was after the 2nd round, 2nd or 3rd. You're doing like the foot thing in the corner. It seemed like you were just trying to grab some sort of grip. So it seemed like you were understanding that like maybe you weren't mechanically working correctly. Was it your legs? Was it your shoulder? Like what was going on?
Well, I will not say anything until I get an MRI. But so I think something happened to the knee in that first exchange where he had the leg and I did like a full 360. He did like a little knee bar thing because I walked back to the stool and I looked down at my left leg and it was not working right. It wasn't stepping. It wasn't catching. It was unstable. It was weird. And then yeah, during the fight, it was like because you spar all these rounds and you know what it feels like. I've been fighting for 15 years. You know what it feels like to be on a solid foundation, to walk forward, plod forward, move forward, attack. And I just wasn't. Moving backwards was no problem. So my body and my brain was telling me moving backwards is cool, but moving forward, planting and being in his face and being in that pressure. Like even if you go back and watch the fifth, if you really watch the fourth and fifth, whenever I was kind of pursuing him, my legs were almost just my left leg was just like almost like flopping rather than stalking and moving forward, you know? And I remember, and Robbie Lawler is such a freaking badass Hall of Famer in some of the craziest fights ever. And I was just like, guys, I can't get my footing. I'm trying to figure out my footing. And he's like, well, you better fucking figure it out. And I was like, you're right, Robbie. Shit. Yeah. It's like, and yeah, it was, yeah, man. I mean, we'll see what happened, but yeah, essentially for about 23 minutes of that fight, I don't know if the leg was really working that
well. How does it feel right now?
Not great.
not
great. Not great.
How did your knee feel before the fight?
The right knee had some stuff going on in it. I think we're gonna get that cleaned up for sure. But I've had that for like 2 years. But the left knee is like the worst I've ever felt on any kind of injury whatsoever. But it's, you know, it's a fight, man. It's you figure it out. And I'm also my default is never, okay, where's my excuses? Where's my excuse buttons? You know, like I don't have those. So I'm like, well, it must be my fault. It must be my footing. It must be, you know, the canvas. It must be like, I got to get my feet wet. You know, I was getting my feet wet in between every single round, like spitting water out, pouring water out, getting water on my feet because, and then now when I go back and watch the fight, cause I know how I move, I know what I look like. I got my last couple sparring sessions of how I move and what my foundation looks like on my feet. And it just was not the same at all. So it's a weight bearing issue / balance issue / whatever. But I felt like, how many times did I fall in that fight?
Yeah,
like I'm a decently athletic guy. Like I'm pretty athletic.
Yeah.
And
if you look back at the softball game, you made things look like you weren't even trying. You made things more difficult to show off that you were athletic. Yeah.
Well, and like
you got a fly ball and then just jump.
Yeah, it takes 3 steps forward just to dive back and catch it.
And I'm better at fighting than I am softball. But like I just kept falling. Like I'm like, I don't really fall. I'm like,
I know, because you talk about conceding the first round, even the second round that, you know, you ultimately had to kind of concede and figure out, but ultimately it led going to the ground because you tripped on the cage.
Yeah. I cut my foot, freaking did something to my damn hand here. I looked down at my thumb because I think my thumb went back and touched my
get one of these.
Wrist. Yeah, I know. So I got an MRI on that as well. But yeah, I mean, it's, that's why we love this sport, dude. You got two dudes just freaking braving the unknown to bodily harm.
Right. So
when you go down 3-0 and you're going in that fourth round, are you thinking, all right, Chandler 1.0 has to start coming out because I'm starting to run out of time? Because he's had me on the ground. Whether you talked about conceding the first one, second one you kind of tripped and he had his way with you in the second round. Third round, he's on top of you the whole time. Are you starting to like feel the conditioning wear off and be like, all right, I got to start taking some chances here?
Yeah, because also I didn't take any damage. I mean,
right.
I mean, that was the one thing. I mean, to me as an athlete, and I'm the hardest on myself, and obviously my wife is my biggest fan. She's going to, you know, she's got a skewed version and vision, as do you guys probably. But she's like, yeah, he got on top of you and controlled you. But like, I mean, look at my face. I got a black eye. Part of the black eye too was like I came down and headbutted his knee or something in the fifth round. Like I've jacked my face up more myself by going in and trying to throw punches and running into limbs more than actually getting punched in fights sometimes. But he wasn't doing damage either.
Right.
He was just getting
on,
like
winning and controlling the fight. Like if it was wrestling, they're showing the ride time and everything else. The control time.
So like when it comes to that, if you actually look at it, I landed more strikes in the fight than he did, even though he controlled and had, you know, because he would just take the back, do the body triangle, and then kind of just do this number. We were just hand fighting for, you know.
When you're doing the back and the body triangle, who's exerting more energy in those positions?
I was resting a lot, you know, like I say that I used to hate that word because I think guys pussyfoot around. They don't fight hard enough. They don't, you know, they're too point fight tactically. But I was just like, well, hey, when Charles Oliveira has your back, I can choose to force this and put myself in a bad situation. I can choose to exert a crazy amount of energy with a 50-50 shot of getting out. If you don't get out, you try to create a scramble, your cardio goes down. Maybe you put yourself in a bad spot, get arm barred, triangled, something silly, or just let him do his thing. And I still got, I mean, at that point in time, you're in the third round. You're like, dude, I still got 12 minutes left to fight. 12 minutes is like an eternity inside of there when one punch can finish a fight. And I say that as a guy who, like, I'm proud of myself for actually being in there and fighting tactically and making conscious decisions rather than, Dana calls me the Arturo Gatti of the UFC type of, it's like, that's great. I do love that. But also, man, I was 100% confident, 100% positive that this is exactly the way it was supposed to be. I was going to beat Charles Oliveira. I was going to fight for the title next. And this is the way it was supposed to be. And I had to fight that way as a real professional rather than just a guy who goes out there and entertains in a crazy badass fight, get a bonus fight, could be up for fight of the year type of situation, which is all great. But man, I'm here for championships. So now that ship has sailed.
And defending off one of the best ground guys who's known for finishing on the ground.
Yeah. I mean, and it needs to be said as well. It's like, I've only lost to 3 guys in the UFC. It's like I've lost to Charles. Every single guy that I've lost to has been ranked top 2 or 3 in the world at that moment. It was Poirier, Gaethje, and Oliveira. Oliveira choked out and finished Poirier and Gaethje, and he wasn't able to do it to me. So, I mean, it's all of those things, and it's either way, people can draw the conclusions that they want. People can love me, they can hate me, but we're having fun. We're winning, so.
I think you won. I mean, you
hard pressed to hate.
I mean, that 5th round was crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No. You were sizing up. I was gonna
say, like, after the 4th round, and in your mind, you're like, all right, I'm down 4-0. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
Like, I got to empty the clip however I can.
Yeah.
You go into that 5th round, buddy, I came up off mic.
Come on, kid, tell him. Tell him.
Because you're sitting there like, we're watching from a different perspective. Like you're talking about with Bree, it's like you're watching your brother. Like I remember watching Cody all the time wrestle and those feelings. And you're sitting there watching the fight unfold and you're like, he's losing the fight, but all he needs is he just needs to land a shot. Yep. He just needs to land a shot. And you were being patient. Like you're defending him off. You're happy every time. It's like he's got you for most of the round on the ground. It's like, all right, if he can last 2.5 minutes here, then you end up doing it. He's checking the clock. He's getting to the corner. You can tell you're breathing fine. It's like, all right, he has to go in this 5th round.
Has to go.
When you landed that first one,
dog,
bro, and I tell you, I was so mad when you missed those 2 going to the ground. I was like, fuck, because you had him.
Yeah.
You had him.
Yeah. You had him on the ground. Yeah. I thought they were going to call the fight. Because you're right. Like,
because I got my phone out, I'm recording the TV. I'm like, come on, bro, you got it. You got it. Just go, keep going.
JP and I got our arms around each other. We're jumping in the air, like leaning over people, screaming. Like, this is fucking it. Because, the first 4, it's like, it seemed you had your game plan. You did the game plan. It was what it was. But like you said, it's like you one punch. And when you clipped him,
1 moment away.
And he like puts his hand like that, and you're like, oh, he's fucking hurt. He's fucking, and then he falls down, and then you start coming in with the elbows and the punches. Yeah. I'm just staring at the ref like, fucking call it, like screaming, bro.
Yeah, nobody in the last couple of years has put Oliveira in that position, and I put him in that position twice, in the first fight and then in the second fight. And obviously he got finished by Islam, but that's his only loss. Well, Armin, but that was a kind of a hug fest, right? Yeah, man, it was. And yeah, hindsight is always 20/20, man. You go back and you're like, God, if you could just put me back in that moment, I would have just pushed off and I would have made him come back up and just. But the other thing too was I think I also knew you can just tell the way I was pursuing him. It was almost like I was like just tripping toward him.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not making excuses, but like it was a weird when
I
was
like
on the
film
feet
and still trying to be like, if I could just go back to this moment.
Last night I watched it and I was like, I was not happy.
You could tell something was up with your legs because it seemed like you were walking on uneven surfaces.
It was, we'll see. We cannot say anything until we get the MRI results or whatever, but yeah.
Right there, man.
Yeah.
Right there, I thought it was done.
Oh.
Yeah, that's, and the referee was right there, dude, because I mean, he took like 15 shots to the ear, like 15. And I was like, is this for you gonna step in, dude?
Wait, what do you think? Are you thinking like it's over? Like, is that because
Well, so the hard part is there's kind of an unspoken rule at this point. It's like, it's got to be pretty definitive. Like if because I would want the exact same thing. If I was up 3 rounds, 4 rounds to 1 or none, and Charles Oliveira clipped me, I would want the referee to not step in unless it's like life or death situation because I'm up.
Right.
Just let me survive and I win the fight type of situation.
Right.
And this is where, this is where my humility comes in, where I'm like, hey, this is the sport and this is the way things are supposed to be. Like, I completely get. If it was a different fight, I think Keith Peterson finishes or steps in and pulls me off of him after he takes those 15, maybe 20 shots.
Especially if it's in the first few rounds.
Yeah, but he's already up a couple rounds there, so it's kind of like an unspoken rule. Let this guy survive unless I need to save him, But he was in a bad spot. I remember when he turned over and he looked at, for some reason his eyes were red. Like, I don't know if they were red, like bloodshot. And he was looking at me, but he wasn't really looking at me. He was like looking through me, cross-eyed, and just, he was
trying to get
all
it
jacked
He was
up.
looking at God.
He was all jacked up.
That Walkout song was playing in his head right there.
He's like, I need to come back.
You're good. That's supposed to do that.
Okay, there's wheels on that.
When you were on top of him and you lean back and Mike like took a few deep breaths and then just starts going back in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and that's one of Charles's good things because he's not the most dominant guy. If you watch him, he gets in bad positions and guys hurt him, but he's long and lanky and he could close his eyes and use his feet like hands, and tie you up and do these things with his big old long limbs. So it's a tough position to be in because he's so good at being defensive in those positions because he's been in those positions so much. And that's what you have to be as a jiu-jitsu artist. You are going to concede the position and let a guy be on top of you so you can triangle him and armbar him and do these things, but you still have to be very good. Whereas me, I'm not that way because I'm not ever on bottom like that, with a guy on top of me usually. So you get in a position and you make one little move or you let him advance a little bit, and then he's got you tied up and he's just hugging you with his legs or he's doing something, and then you can't land a good shot.
Right. So remind me. So you have him down. I forget what happened next because we thought it was over, and then you end up.
He was like he was like trying to go for your arm in some weird way, and then that's when I feel like it kind of got.
That's when you start to see a little like the conditioning as far as like it's the 5th round and you're just unloading the clip on him.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas that's where you're like looking back and back. If I would have just stepped away and make him get up.
Yeah, but obviously you have to follow him. I mean, that was when that's when I go back to it, and I had no weight. Like when you're throwing a left hook, you want both your weight planted on both of your feet, and if anything, a little bit more on your front foot because that's where all the power is coming from your left hip, which for me is my front hip. And I threw that hook with my left foot in the air because I wasn't putting weight on my left foot, and just whiffed, fell. We did a complete 360, and we landed in a good spot for me to land good damage. So I wouldn't have stood us up. I wouldn't have stood up then right away. I would have tried to finish him right there. But as soon as the action kind of stopped and I wasn't just dominating, raining punches, it would have been nice to be able to just push him away and make him stand up. Mm-hmm. But here we are. And
then he gets you to the ground, like a minute 45, a minute 30 left. And at that point, we kind of knew all right, did you know, all right, he's got me on the ground. This guy's the best on the ground.
Here we are again.
Yeah,
here we are again,
Yeah.
And he didn't do any damage. He just held me and hugged me and did his thing. And
at that point for him, he doesn't have to really do anything, right? He's just to keep control.
And then Chandler 2.0 or Chandler 1.0 reverted back where I was like, hey, now we're like, hey, I'm about to take this 180-pound man with one leg and stand up,
waddle his ass to the middle of the fucking
we
ring.
Can't do it right here. We got to walk to the middle of that monster can and freaking slam him twice.
Bro,
and I know it's like, it's not like, hey, I'm gonna see if I can knock him out with this thing.
I thought, dude, when you did it, I was like, what if he knocks him out?
It would have been actually the craziest thing ever if he lost his breath or he freaking went unconscious. But obviously there was a 0% chance of that happening really. But I was like, this is just for the fans. I looked right at freaking Donald Trump and Kid Rock on the first one. And then on the second one, as I was getting up, I was on 3 points and Hunter Campbell had his hands like this. And he was just like looking at me like this is freaking nuts. And we like locked eyes, and I was like, and I smiled at him, and just did it again for the second one.
Again.
Yeah.
Dude, when you the fifth round was maybe the most electric fifth round you could ever watch.
Yeah,
you had
man.
him in the corner. He gets you on the ground. Like the range of emotions was crazy because we're screaming, he's going to do it. Then he gets you on the ground like, man, it's over. That sucks. And then you start to stand up and you're like, hey, what's he doing? What's he about to do right now? And you just literally, like, it was cinema. It was absolutely cinema because you're like struggling to get up and he's just holding on your back and you can see your legs shaking and your body shaking. You're like, just the power of an alpha male standing up in front of people. Everyone's like, oh, because you could feel the crowd. The crowd goes like, all right, they got him on his back. Everyone and their mother's like, all right, they're going to be on the ground for the rest of the time. This fight's over. Let's get ready for the John Jones fight. And then when you start to quiver your way up with him on his back, everyone's like, wait a second now. Hey, what are we doing here? What are we doing? And people getting hyped up about it. And we're like, holy shit. And you stand up and then when you mouthed, fuck it. And then dipped on the back, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
He might not. In my dumb brain, I'm like, he might fucking knock him out of his back, dude. He might fucking do it.
Well, what's really funny is we already have history. I did it in the first fight, right? And I think when he had my back, that thought went through my mind a couple different times during the fight. But I'm like, no, it takes a lot of energy. There's a 1% chance that it helps out and does something cool. It's just it's a wow factor type of situation. But with 40 seconds left in the fight, you're like, let's wow him.
Bro, 13
let's give him
seconds. If you go back to the other clip.
Yeah, there's like
13 seconds left.
13 seconds left. That was the second one. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Dude, walking through, he's got your leg, you're just fucking hobbling over.
Yeah.
And hey, did you tap at the end?
Well, so I thank God.
Yeah, explain
because
that.
you were.
So
it
I
looked like
did.
you.
Well, technically, I kind of did, but it was more like a good job, buddy. He freaking did this and kissed me. It was like a show of respect type of thing. It was like a good job, like
Never heard of
thumbs
a
up.
man sticking his tongue out going, blah, blah, blah,
well,
as a sign of respect.
You just do the body things twice. He's hanging on. You're both just being showmen. And
Yeah,
you're just
well,
thinking, hey,
that was
scrap.
like a moment for us, and I look back at it, and people were like, "Oh, he tapped," you should, and that's where the referee did not, I guess you would say, like, follow the rules. It's like if he saw a tap, he should, but he knows what's happening. He's reffed thousands of fights. Charles Oliveira does not have a submission. As a matter of fact, his arms are loose around me. I'm not tapping.
Right.
It was a pat on the competitor, right?
Right.
But yeah, I look
Like
back
a
and I'm
hell of
like,
a
dude,
fight.
thank God.
I was like,
that would have sucked. I mean,
Bro, if he steps in and pulls it off,
Yeah,
and calls
and I would've
it,
been like,
1
oh, that
second
would-
left on the clock.
I know, right? But it was, I think he knew what was happening there. We're both smiling. Fuck it.
Dude, the fuck it was elite. Elite.
Before the fight, Bruce Buffer did an ad read for Gladiator 2. And then your fight happens. I'm like, whoever's in charge of Gladiator 2, put Mike in the trailer.
Dude,
Exactly
no
what
doubt.
just happened.
No doubt.
Yeah, I don't think that's a coincidence that they waited till my fight to do that, because obviously
Not entertained.
Gladiator.
Hell yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess, are you not entertained? That's a freaking Gladiator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. Yeah, I need to holler at the freaking.
Well, hey, well, you
Have they
zooming
filmed
down
that yet?
G?
It's coming out. Coming out this week.
Dang, man.
Yeah, Kid Rock's losing it. You see Jelly's arm waving around.
I
the
will
back.
say I've been getting sent videos of the second slam, because obviously the first one happens and the whole entire Madison Square Garden is on their feet.
Yeah.
The entire Madison Square Garden is on their feet, because especially when people saw me getting to, like, struggling my way to my feet for the second one, people were like, oh shit, he's gonna do it again.
Yeah.
Like, he's gonna do it again. We're about to see it again. and it was Devin, my buddy Devin, who sent me one where he's a little bit far back where you can kind of see 12,000 of the 20,000 people, and they're all standing up, and half of them are waving their hands in the air. They're like, he's gonna do it again.
Bro. It was insane.
Mike
man.
united America. With this
Yeah,
fight.
yeah.
Dude.
Brought it back.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the fight was out the window at that point. It was just like, hey, I am living my best life. Like, I'm doing this right now, and I'm gonna live my best life, man. We're gonna do something spectacular. What was it Dana said? And I love that he said it. He said, I'm in the business of making holy shit moments. That's what he does. That's what he sells. He doesn't sell fights. He doesn't sell competition. He doesn't sell the UFC. He's selling holy shit moments. Like, that's what he does. And
You're 6 for 6.
I ain't going anywhere. I'm
Yeah,
6 for 6.
holy shit moments.
Like, that's where, and that was one of those things. Yeah.
So what do you think's next?
Well,
There's only one.
What do you got? Oh,
the
speech?
call out, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had my whole speech lined out. You know, I was gonna win, do my job. I was gonna call out Islam, or Max for the BMF belt, or Connor, obviously. But obviously, I was 100% said I wanted to fight Islam next, or Armin could win that, but I think Islam wins. And I was gonna be cage side for it. Still might be. Go out there, do some appearances. Everybody loves LA. We'll go to LA, boys.
Yeah,
We'll go to LA.
You know, so
We'll dip in LA.
looks like it's gonna be Connor next.
What do you think the reality of Connor is? Guy's on a yacht, $500 million, whatever he's got, breaks the pinky toe
In court.
in court right now.
Yeah, tough week for the boy.
Tough week. Do you think this is a real reality that he comes back to the Octagon?
I'm not saying it's a real reality, but I am saying if he does, his road comes straight through Nashville, Tennessee. You know, like his road back to the UFC. We have to finish the Ultimate Fighter. The UFC wants to finish the Ultimate Fighter. Connor wants to fight me. Like he can fight anybody, but he made a commitment, you know, and I've said this numerous times. I have no problem giving my opponents props. Like I think he's more sentimental and romantic about the sport than people give him credit for, because he has become this big, infamous, you know, brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he knows he's nothing without that UFC Octagon. He knows he's nothing without the UFC. He was a plumber on welfare, sleeping on a couch, and without the UFC, he's nothing. You know, and I don't say that to take anything away from him. We all know, you know, we need our employers or our brands or our whatever to take us to the next level and create the life, right? So I think he wants to see through to his commitment. Quite frankly, I mean, he needs to come back. He needs something to chase, or else he's going to keep chasing the wrong things. And if he does, there's a guy waiting, and it just so happens that I think I'm one of the top draws in the UFC. Like people will pay good money to watch me fight, no matter what.
That's an oh shit moment.
It's oh shit moments, nonstop, dude.
Yeah.
Like, because I will give them to you. Like I am guaranteed to give them to you, and I might be the only guy in the UFC who will guarantee that you will have an oh shit moment, and I wear that proudly. And here we are. So Connor's got to come back. If he comes back, he's fighting me.
As you exit the Octagon, instead of taking a left, you took a hard right, because me, Jelly, JP, Talon, Bree, we're all waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
Take a hard right, go see old 47.
Yeah.
What'd you say to him?
Just shook, I shook his hand, and he said, awesome fight, you're a warrior, or whatever. And he whispered in my, he whispered in my ear. There's a really cool shot actually of him whispering in my ear. And he was just like, you are one bad mofo type of deal. You know, it was pretty freaking cool. And I was like, well, you are, thank you for saving our country. And then from there, it was like the entire Avengers squad was there. Like the entire group of people that is going to set our country in the right direction is there. Plus one of my favorite people is Tulsi Gabbard.
You see what's up to her?
Yeah.
That was obviously the first time I met her. She's got a calm confidence about her. She's got an aura about her. Like when she speaks, she just sounds like I was in 2008 when Obama was running for president. I didn't know shit about politics. Still really don't. But I would watch Obama and be like, yo, this guy just sounds amazing when he speaks. I have no idea what he's actually saying. Tulsi gives me the same vibe. It's like she just holds herself very confidently. She had a great energy about her when we were sitting there. And when she speaks, she just sounds like she really just speaks very well.
Tulsi Gabbard is going to be the first female president. That's my hope. I hope Tulsi Gabbard is the first female president for the United States.
So the streets are saying.
Yeah.
The whispers, the clamorings.
Yeah, she's, which is great. I mean, I love that what is she, director of national intelligence, which is really funny because they put her on like the terror watch list and all this stuff. It's just like, what's really cool from the political side is to see the political establishment start to freak out about how unqualified, dangerous, and scary all these people are, because they are threatening the bureaucracy that has been there going on for the last 100 years and had us taking steps backwards. Because those people have been in power, the left has been in power, 12 of the last 16 years, and so it's exciting. And either way, whether you voted one side or the other, or you're upset about one or the other, either way, it's a change. Like, hey, let's just give it a shot. right? It's no different than you're 7 years into your NFL career. Let me just try this thing. It's a little on the fringe. It's a little, some people hate it, some people love it, but let's just try this thing. Like, let's try to have a freaking rocket scientist. Let's try to have a guy who was an independent in the middle. He was on the left and has now come over to the right. Like, let's just try it. Let's try this thing. It's a little bit different than just a bunch of suits who have been living the public service life for the last 40 years and don't have a lot of actual moving the country forward to show for it.
And they got everybody they want in. Like, if it's going to happen, it's going to be now.
Yeah. And then if a guy like me who is 100% on board, I can look back and be like, yeah, rocket scientist, he's an idiot in politics. He was the wrong guy.
We fucked up.
RFK, yeah, he's an idiot. Never mind.
Did we go 4 years
We
from
had
now?
high hopes, right? But it's like, let's just try something different. That's what America does, dude.
Right.
America makes innovations and they take big risks. And that was what the country was founded upon, you know?
But you brought up a good point of the hope thing. And it's like, regardless of left or right or whatever, whoever wins, wherever side of the aisle you lay on, you want hope. You like, hey, if it wasn't my choice, let's hope this works out for the best. Because at the end of the day, we just want our country to do as well as we possibly
So I'm
want.
still going to be raising a beer every 4th of July.
100%. Yeah. And I think Trump said it. He said it in maybe his acceptance speech or whatever, you know? And he said it's great. It's like success brings people together.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are successful,
Well, he said that on Bussin' with the Boys. You say victory.
Did he really?
Speech. Yeah, he said it on Bussin'.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. You know,
I
it's
thought
like
you watched.
well, I did watch, but I
Did
forget.
you hear our shout out?
Yeah, I did, which is freaking amazing.
Yeah, that was a wild
Yeah,
deal.
did not hear
But you
Michael
know, like
Chandler.
success brings people together, dude. It's like love me or hate me. If I make your life better, you gotta give me props for that. Like
Right,
you're
yeah.
happy about it.
Yeah, a lot of the fear and a lot of the stuff, like hopefully everything just calms down in the next couple of years.
Yeah, it's been pretty good and cordial. Don't watch the news and just live your life. And
Well, yeah,
Watch it
we're
all.
going to keep doing what we do. Just
Yeah,
just
we here every
having
Tuesday.
people on
Every
Tuesdays,
Tuesday,
come hang out
Locker
with
Room-
us.
Locker Room comes out on Thursdays.
Right.
dang,
Podcast,
dude.
play video games.
Yeah, we have a stream at 1:00 today.
Yeah, you guys
It's
got
Tuesday while we're
streams
shooting
going
this
on
right
now.
now. So MRI, have you already gotten the MRI?
No, I'm hounding them. I'm like, I want it today.
Yeah,
I
you
want
should have. They should have given it to you like
Yeah.
right after the fight,
Yeah.
like the next morning.
Well,
no doubt.
yeah.
No
I mean,
doubt.
that was partly me because like I
Wanted to
wanted
get out of
to
there.
just not be held hostage in
Right.
New York and get.
You should have got
here.
the MRI, Mike.
I-
Okay.
maybe.
Be a professional.
I know.
Yeah,
You
be
need
a
to
pro.
do it the next day.
I
You
did,
play-
but
you
I
play
wanted
a
to go
football
hang out,
game,
yeah.
you get a little ouchie, they give you an MRI the next day.
Yeah, I know. But
Get an MRI. Don't go on a plane.
yeah.
Right.
Get inflammation going.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Just,
maybe it's
just
just
ball busting.
maybe it's just- maybe it's just the
He's
plane.
having a little fun with you. Look at him.
maybe, look at him. Maybe it's just the inflammation
Yeah.
from the plane. Maybe the knee's fine.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We're not making any excuses.
Right,
We're
little
not-
turmeric,
Yeah.
little red light therapy.
Yeah.
Who
But
knows?
if you knew what the MRI would say, what would you guess it would say?
I don't know. I really don't want to know.
Let's play doctor, dude.
Dog.
Let's play doctor. Let's pretend we have PhDs.
I really don't want to know. But I don't know. Either way,
When the MRI comes out for your knee, put the pit bull on it.
Free
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
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 we can break it down on the next episode of Bussin' with the Boys. But I don't know if there's a road to recovery. There's a road to recovery. The timeline will work out fine. I think me and Connor International Fight Week is the next fight. That's what I'm throwing out there. Like I think June,
Ooh.
July.
When do those conversations start to happen? Give us a timeline on that. When do you know if that's a reality?
Well, I mean, I got to see what's up with the body right now.
Which
but-
you should have done a couple of days ago.
I know, but I'll talk to Hunter in the next couple days. I'm sure he's giving me a little time right now
See
to.
what some options are.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, it's like Chandler versus anybody is a thumbs up for the UFC right now. So
Okay, so let's say Connor's done. He rides off in the sunset. That's it. What in your perfect world? Who are you fighting next?
Max Holloway for the BMF belt. I mean, I don't know what my ranking is now. Probably still 7-ish or whatever. He's number 5 because he beat Gaethje. So like you got 2 guys inside the top 10. BMF belt 155. Chandler versus Gaethje 2. That's a big fight. That's another banger.
You
Is
stand
that
up
one
with
at
Max?
155 too?
That would be at 155. Yeah, I would love to fight at 170 though.
How much does it suck to just get to 155? You
It
look like
sucks
such
bad.
a different human being.
Yeah, it's
when
not,
you step on the way in and everything else, I'm like, being around you as much as we have the last few years, you can just see how much work and effort it is to get down to that weight.
It's calorie restricted every day. Like I did not have one day in which my calories exceeded my burning calories. Like my resting metabolic rate was like 3,500 to 3,800 or something like that, and I was ingesting like 1,200 to 1,500 calories a day.
I mean, you look
working
like
out 3 times a
brand
day.
new person right now compared to when you weighed.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a little swollen. Yeah, I'm a little swollen right now.
Yeah.
Like just my whole body is
Took no
inflamed.
damage, but a little swollen right
Yeah,
now.
my whole body is inflamed.
So he didn't let any damage on me. He's got a black eye.
Yeah, my head's fine. Look at me. I'm like, yeah, look at you. What the fuck? If I look like that, people be like, yo, Taylor, what happened?
Well, I
You're
think
like,
yeah,
it's nothing.
but you forgot when I got on the bus after Gaethje and freaking after Poirier.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, like face was much more jacked
If you
up.
do take on Holloway, you standing up with him? What's the deal? You swing out?
I don't want to.
He's literally
man.
giving guys,
Yeah.
pointers during fights.
Yeah,
He's looking away while throwing jabbies.
You don't want to now because you just came home and hugged your kids.
Yeah, I know
But
exactly.
when you're in that cave.
Oh yeah, that guy's a psycho. That guy will stand with Max Holloway for 5 rounds and be willing to die in there. You know,
Yeah.
which is, it's great. I know I got it in me, and I will never lose it. So that would be a fun one. I would love to fight at 170 though, but it's got to be the right fight at 170.
You know what you didn't do in your last fight?
Ooh, what did I see at the top?
No.
I didn't
Bad
say.
fist.
Oh dang it, you're right.
We talked about it.
Because I had to go forward to do that. I was fighting backwards the entire freaking fight.
You say you don't have an excuse, but
I know,
there's
I
one
know.
right there. That's crazy.
We did talk. We talked about it
a lot.
the day of or the day before.
Day before.
Day before.
I was like, hey, bro, spinning back fist.
Yeah, dang it.
Flying
I
knee.
didn't, I
Yeah.
didn't
Spinning
have,
back fist.
I
Like,
didn't
come
Make
on.
something happen.
I didn't feel.
He laughed. He goes, yeah, I could do that. I'm thinking to myself, do it.
I didn't have.
Get it
Don't
done.
be a pussy.
Get it
No,
done.
seriously, do it. I need it. Yeah.
Could you imagine just and a little spin?
That would have been awesome.
Get in there at 1-2
Finish him.
stomach. Should you have gone at Charles's body a little bit more? Get his hands down.
Yeah, I didn't go to the body at all. I mean, part of that. Yeah.
I'll tell you what you need to have.
That foot,
You
mate.
got to
The
have JP.
planting.
You got to have JP in your
I
corner.
feel that, bro.
JP was calling things out.
Yeah.
He's like, if he goes to the body a little bit more, Oliveira, his hands are way too high right now. And he's like, JP is on his shit.
Yeah. No, he is. I needed you to break down the footage.
We can do that. Y'all check out Mike's YouTube channel. We'll be on there breaking down the
We'll be
fight.
on there.
Break it down for me.
This could be a crazy one, and maybe it's a bad idea, but no bad ideas in brainstorm for next fight wise. If Volk loses this, it looks like he's going to get a rematch.
It's a Poirier,
Yeah, like maybe a Chandler Volk.
Chandler Volk at 55.
He would love to. He would probably even love to go to 170.
Oh yeah, that would be fun. I mean, yeah, we should
Okay,
just
JP,
normalize.
promoter
We
JP.
should just normalize fighting at our normal weights. Like that would be great.
You know, 155 for you. You hated that.
Yeah, it's but I'm so damn good at it though. That's what's crazy is like even the hard stuff for me, it needs to. I wish people could see what I went through the last 12 weeks, and it's like, yeah, it sucked, but if you just stick to a plan and you do it and you have discipline and you do not cheat whatsoever, it's all doable. Like I honestly had a very, very easy weight cut. Did it suck? Absolutely. Was it painful? Yes. Was it uncomfortable? Was I ticked off? Yes. But it was an easy weight cut. But the weight cut doesn't start the fight week. The weight cut started 12 weeks prior. I mean, the weight cut started when I had that conversation with you about, hey, dude, here's the options. Here's what's going on. And I was like, I don't want to go to 155. I was in the middle of like starting to calorie restrict. I'm weighing like 190 something, 191. And I'm like starting to calorie restrict because they wanted me to fight October 5th. And I was like, Hunter, I will make weight. I will make weight. If I give you my commitment and I sign my name on the dotted line, I will make weight. I just think I'm going to be a shell of a human being inside of the octagon, and I'm going to be frail and probably banged up because of this hard weight cut for it's too soon. Can we do Madison Square Garden? And he said no at first, and then obviously we know how it played out. I fought at Madison Square Garden, but I was in the middle. I started way soon because I needed to go from a 170 body type down to a 155 body
I need
type.
to cut.
Yeah.
Just get down to like 200 or something.
Wait till after the holiday season.
Yeah, dude. We're boys about to have a fun month and a half. All right.
Yeah.
You just fired me up.
Hey,
I got
Thanksgiving.
to give up
Thanksgiving,
the Trader
dude.
Joe's snacks, dude. I can't give up the dark chocolate
Yeah,
peanut butter cups,
dude.
man. They're fucking, they crumble me.
I know.
Their peanut butter pretzel bites. God.
Well,
I yearn for them.
That's where I'm
I
getting
yearn for them.
That's where I'm getting my head wrapped around. Like if I got to get any kind of surgery or something, I'm like, okay, I'm going straight carnivore the whole time. I'm freaking gonna be in my red light
After
bed
Thanksgiving,
every day.
because we have the most buttered turkey.
Ooh,
The most buttered turkey.
We're doing a competition this year in the Lewan household. Anybody who comes over who wants to participate will have a scale, weigh-ins and weigh-outs.
Right. Yep.
Winner take all.
I'm gonna
Get a
win
nice
that, dude. I can
trophy?
manipulate my weight so well.
Yeah, you think
I
so.
can manipulate my weight so
He
well.
just talked
I'm
about
gonna
going
show
from
up one.
191 to 155.
Yeah, he went
I
backwards.
guess you went from 310 to what are you like 240?
All right, don't be disrespectful.
Pretty
255.
thin.
255.
What are you talking
You look
about?
great, dude.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, he
Mike.
looks phenomenal. That
Thank you,
wasn't
Mike.
that wasn't a shot. You lost.
You
No,
got-
there was
60 pounds.
when I was in the 240s. Will give me the whole. Hey, you doing the whole shoulders forward? You're getting a little too skinny.
Really?
You look a little sick in the face.
It's
Sat
good,
me,
yeah.
He sat me down a little bit, and I was like, all right, I gotta put like 10 more pounds on.
It's good
But
though.
yeah,
Yeah, you got it.
255. But I think I'm gonna weight cut to like 245 for Thanksgiving, which
See
is in a
that?
week.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that.
Yeah, no,
It is only
you just
one
stay where
week.
you're at, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm putting 15 pounds on the day of Thanksgiving. Calling it now.
You sleeping on Mitch?
Mitch, but Mitch, here's
You
the
are
problem-
sleeping on
No,
Mitch.
here's the problem with Mitch. Mitch stays with the carbs. When you cut carbs, you lose water weight so fast. So if I have no carbs, I did fuck up in New York big time.
Hella carbs.
Hell,
each
like
day.
only carbs. But if I have no carbs from now till Thanksgiving, I'll have like a free 7-8 pounds that literally it'll be like a piece of bread and I'll be done.
That'd be
And then it's
nice.
all about endurance, brother. And you
Endurance.
boys have seen me eat when I eat.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're a big boy.
Yeah, get
6'7".
fucking after it.
Send me the roster. I'll make some odds on it. We'll get it out there. People can bet on it.
We got to just do that one day in general. Like Thanksgiving, I know everybody's got their thing, but we should just see who can eat the most one day.
Well, everybody could
That would be
still
great.
post their
Dude, that would be
the
an
scale
awesome
in the
event,
morning,
dude.
and
Like
like
an
do it
eating
whatever.
contests.
Eating
the
just how much
bussin'-
weight can you gain in
The
one day?
bussin' bowls.
Yeah,
Just
bussin'
bowls of
Bussin'
freaking
bowl
whatever you
fest.
decide.
Yeah.
Spaghetti.
Taylor makes these like cinnamon rolls, dude. I'm telling
Oh,
you,
dude.
she made them a week ago, and I was like, first off, go
So
fuck yourself.
good.
You should never make. I've told you I'm not doing a carb until Thanksgiving.
God
I'm in
dang
New
it.
York, but I told her I was
They're
like,
delicious.
for Thanksgiving, I was like, make one for everybody, and then make a whole separate one because I'm eating the whole thing. I'm going. Those cinnamon rolls are insane, bro. They're so
They are.
good.
Yeah, those sourdough ones.
Yes.
Have
Oh,
you
yeah.
ever put a full?
We had 'em
a full
last year,
pan
right?
Down?
I mean, you know,
I don't think you could on Thanksgiving with Thanksgiving meals and everything else.
Dang.
I'm just letting you know. Don't think you can.
I love it. No, I love this. You're probably right, but I'm gonna throw. I'm
Oh,
gonna throw
that's what I'm
up.
saying.
Bro, you seen the pan too?
Yeah.
There's like 12 of them boys
I
on
know.
there.
I've seen it.
And
They're
I'm
amazing.
I'm
would
kind
be-
of excited about that
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah, food
what
comas
you-
and dudes
everybody,
dudes
like everybody
puking.
on the bus, even fans included too. You have a weigh in at what 7, 8 in the morning. Post your scale.
Yeah.
Post your scale, and then what 7 p.m., 8 p.m.
Yeah, 12-hour
At night.
window.
12-hour window.
Hashtag bussin' what, butter turkey or whatever.
Hashtag bussin' bloated boys.
We'll come up with the hashtag.
Yeah.
Hashtag
Bussin'
You got
Wing
you got to do a
Chop.
little bit of a water cut.
205 to 220.
bussin' busty boys.
You got to do a water cut
Bussin' turkey game.
Yeah. I'm Wednesday next week. Let's do it.
Wednesday next week. Yeah, it's like me when I weighed in 155.6, and then 12 hours later I was 175. So it's like 20 pounds.
What's a water?
basically
cut?
just-
explain. Is that the?
Well, it's more
water
just
fast?
dehydration.
Yeah.
Dehydration. Well, water fast means you're really only drinking water.
Right.
This is more like not drinking much water. I think that the last 24 hours I only drank like 32 ounces of water, 64 ounces.
Hey,
of
we
water.
should do that next Wednesday. How long does it take?
I mean, you just basically do a 24-hour one where you're just dehydrating yourself for 24 hours.
Can I have nicotine?
Yes.
You can have coffee.
Come drink.
I mean,
Coffee dehydrates you, right?
yeah.
That'd be easy for me.
You smack that?
I'll be pissing gold sometimes, brother.
Oh, shoot.
That shit, I gotta drink.
You
some
got that
water.
brown, that soup
Yeah, you gotta
color
drink some
pee.
Get
water,
up off this
dude.
couch. Get to the water.
You drink some water.
I love how you think I just sit on the couch when I'm at home.
Well,
I mean,
I don't. Sometimes.
No, I texted Will last night and he's like doing dishes. Just going after it. I'm not gonna say everything he
In the
said.
dishes,
He was
bro.
out there. Will's running the scoreboard up right now at home.
He's crushing.
He's doing what he's
We're
got to do.
grinding.
That's a
We're
good boy.
grinding. It's
Yeah.
a fun grind. We're
Hey,
embracing the sun.
when you were doing a
Embrace the
water
sun.
cut, was that you right there? That severe dehydration?
Oh yeah, maybe for him. I was
no,
gonna say, I've
my,
never been red.
I've been in
Man.
that little brown. I've been in that the third
Dehydrated
one.
phase,
Yeah, I've been
yeah.
in that.
Yeah, I've been in the brown. Yeah, I've been in the dehydrated.
I've
I've
never
not
seen-
been in. I mean, I don't understand why the severely dehydrated is red. That looks like blood.
Right. I
But
peed
I've been
blood
in-
one
It seems like
time
you need
when
to
I was
go to the
13.
doctor.
It was kind of painful. That's why I was wondering if it was painful for you.
I think my whole body was in pain, so I just wouldn't have really noticed. But yeah, it's definitely a different density, because blood compared to just urine,
Just expanding your hole.
urethra,
No diddy.
whatever that thing is.
How was Bree after the fight?
She was good, man. Like she was it was tough before the fight because she hadn't
Thankful
done
the
it.
12 weeks is over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Remember seeing her at
talk about
at Halloween.
scoreboards.
Yeah, I remember seeing her at Halloween. I was like, "How you doing?"
That's right.
She's like, "Oh, we're in it.
Yeah.
We're in it."
Because she had a tough time with this one because she hadn't done it in 2 years. I mean, we've been together for 12 years, married for 10, but she's been used to, you know, she's been used to me fighting every 6 months or so. She wasn't used to it for 2 years, you know? So it was
And
a little
without
bit,
kids.
yeah. And
you
without
got a couple of
kids.
them.
Yeah. So she's handling all that. And then she's also handling the emotions. Like even when we were in New York, like on fight day, she was just sitting in her hotel room by herself for like 5-6 hours. I was like, "You good?" She's like, "Yeah, just hanging out. Just want to be by myself, you know?" Because you're also not yourself. Like that's how I am around fight week and stuff. It's like, "Hey, dude, let's go do this. Let's go have dinner." And I'm like, "No, because I'm going to be there. I'm not going to be myself, and I'm going to be second guessing how am I handling this interaction. I'm not myself. I don't really want to be here. We're having a conversation, but I don't really care about this conversation, and I'm completely okay with giving myself permission to not care about this conversation because I have to go fight in a cage in 24 hours type of thing." And she's the same thing. It's like, we had 25 friends there probably, right? But she's like, "I'm not the normal breed that you guys are used to because my husband's about to go fight in a cage and my body's doing weird things and I don't have an appetite and not sleeping well." And, you know, so she was happy after because once again, I've never lost a fight. Like every time we're going up, right? Like it's win, lose or draw. It's like, whatever. It sucks if you lose, but it's also like, hey, the future looks bright. So you're just happy it's over, you know?
Yeah.
You're just happy
No
it's
doubt.
over. And you're happy it's over and it worked out decent, whatever. It's fine, you know, and I'm home now. You're excited that I get to come home and just be dad and husband for a little while.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she was good after.
Well, that's awesome, brother. We're happy for you. Regardless
see
of
what
the
happens
win-loss
next.
column, man, you put on an absolute show.
Oh shit moments, dude.
Oh shit moments.
Oh shit moments.
Win, lose, draw, we brawl.
That's right. We don't go gently.
Yeah, we do not go quietly into the night.
Now you got holidays. Just
Now we got
enjoy
the
them all,
holidays.
dude.
Yeah.
Get plump, get excited. Jan 1, we'll focus on the body
Jan
again.
1. Yeah, we're moving to the new house in a couple weeks. So
Let's go.
December
New
5th.
house?
Before Christmas?
New house. Yeah. So
Let's go.
celebrating. So
Congrats,
yeah,
man.
we've got to move, do all that stuff. That'll be fun.
Yeah. During the holidays.
Right down the road.
Maybe that won't be fun.
With the recovery, all the injuries, having to move.
Yeah.
You almost got to hope for a surgery, right?
I am not. Yeah, I do not want to be that guy because I'm like, oh, yeah, babe, grab that box. Yeah, babe, that's a go. Is that heavy? Good.
No,
Well,
that's-
put your back
that's
into
That's
it,
the
babe.
perfect time. That's the perfect time. Get her one of those little weight belts that the movers have.
Dude.
Let her start getting her
And
dolly.
then she's got to
She'll be
get back
great.
surgery, and then we're both on the freaking injured reserve.
That'd be the worst. You're coming off a recovery. She's going into
Yeah.
a recovery. It's like, now I got to do what I saw her do.
They'll be Hap doing the J Holt workouts.
Yeah,
You
dude.
gotta get right. Move
Gotta
these
get
boxes.
right.
God, I tell you what.
Thanks for coming on, bro.
Of course,
Yeah.
man.
Appreciate it. every
Always
time.
back on the bus.
We love
Win,
you,
lose, or
brother.
draw. Love you guys.
Appreciate you guys.
See you at the top.
See you at the top.
Subscribe. Rate 5 stars.